Just to let folks know, I was that weird kid who wore a tie in high school.
Okay, now the suspenders make sense. You were the weird kid in high school.
Now the suspenders makes a little more sense, right? I wore a bow tie in middle school and switched over to a straight tie in high school. I think I have, I've a good number of ties.
A bow tie? Bow ties in middle school?
We're rolling.
Calling out cat people. This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.
I think I've been to over 40 conventions myself personally, and other events previous to convention season. That 40 is over the past 13 weeks or so, and we have 3 more coming up this weekend with some DFL congressional district conventions happening.
Oh, that must be exhausting. One of the things I noticed watching the state auditor speeches is that you're all trying to be so pretend enthusiastic. That's how I interpret it. Because you need to get everyone's attention. And the fake, this is just my personality type, but the fake enthusiasm really got to me. I'm not singling you out. It's from everyone.
Well, I mean, fake or no, I think there's a lot of real excitement behind the auditor's race, and for me, it's all about like that local unit of government. That's my background, right? I'm the only accountant in this race, and it's really, really fun to hear people's stories and to talk with folks from every corner. There have been so many new people in this process as well. And, I don't think that you can fake something like that, but it's been so energizing to see and hear all the new energy coming into the party, wanting to get involved, wanting to do good things for their communities.
Okay, we are back on the Wedge Live podcast. I'm your host, John Edwards. My guest today, everyone's been waiting for another episode in the series of state auditor conversations because everyone is so interested in this race. Zack
is so true.
Zack Filipovich is a former Duluth City Council member, now running to be the next Minnesota State Auditor. He is seeking the DFL endorsement at the state convention happening the weekend of May 29th through the 31st. Thank you for being here, Zack.
John, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been so much fun running and crisscrossing the state in these last, 13 weeks or so of convention season, but really before then, even last year, going to different DFL events and meeting folks.
You just, before we started here, were telling me how new people are getting involved. Do you mean in the state auditor's race? Because I don't believe for a moment that anyone is motivated to get involved by the state auditor's race.
Well, there's 9 people running for the state auditor's race, which has to be a record, right? It has to be. 4 of us are DFLers. There's 3 Republicans and 2 third-party candidates. I mean, I think it's fantastic there are so many people that are involved or running for this office. It's one of those that, doesn't get a lot of attention. But I was actually talking about people actually being involved with the DFL process or in politics in general for the first time.
Right.
I've had so many conversations where, oh yeah, I voted, or politics is important, but I don't want to pay attention. Folks are paying attention now, and that's really, really energizing to see.
Do you consider yourself an old-fashioned person because you're wearing suspenders? You've got you're the first person to wear suspenders on this podcast, and also you have JFK on the wall behind you.
Yeah, well, the JFK poster, that was a gift from a friend. I think back in high school, actually, we do like a Secret Santa kind of gift exchange. And the suspenders, quite frankly, I've lost so much weight on this campaign. Belts aren't cutting it anymore, so I have to break out the suspenders, and it's actually been super, super fun. I've been getting a lot of comments and actually requests to wear a specific suit for some of these conventions. And just to let folks know, I was that weird kid who wore a tie in high school.
Okay, now the suspenders make sense. You were the weird
Now
kid
the
in high
suspenders
school.
makes a little more sense, right? You see the pen in the pocket, too, but wore a tie in high school every day and throughout college as well. Every day.
What
yeah,
motivated that? Was that, in hindsight, do you think that was normal?
No.
Okay. What was that
Not
about,
normal.
do you think? What was it about you that caused you to be the kid wearing a tie every day in high school?
I think it goes back to I remember the scene from a Cary Grant movie. I'm pretty sure it was North by Northwest when I was like a kid. My parents fell asleep on the couch. I was still watching, and he just comes out of, I don't know, whatever doorway with this like crisp suit and tie on. It's like, that's what I want to look like, to the best of my ability. And so, in middle school we had shop class, and so I actually couldn't wear a straight tie because there's a bandsaw, and that would not be a very good thing. So I wore a bow tie in middle school and switched over to a straight tie in high school. I think I have, I've a good number of ties.
A bow tie? Bow ties in middle school?
Clip-ons in middle school. Now I can do I actually tie them for real, but yeah.
Have you revealed any of this information to anyone else? Is this the first time on the campaign that this has come up?
Exclusive just for you, John.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you opening up like that, because you never know how revealing personal information could backfire when you're a political candidate, right?
Well, I mean, to me, I think it's just, you got to be real with folks, and that's a real thing, right? Like, that's a part of my background, and sure, folks, you can get teased, but it's also a sign of strength, I think.
Now you're just goading me into asking about you getting teased in high school. I don't know if we want to go there. Okay.
No, that's all right. We're here to talk about the state auditor's race. I'm very happy to.
That's right. And so I'm going to define it here briefly, and you tell me if I'm getting anything wrong, anything you'd like to add. The state auditor's office has a staff of around 85 employees and audits the finances of thousands of local government entities in Minnesota. Is that a good way to define it for people?
Yeah. Between 85 and 90 employees, and that's actually a big issue, because my understanding is that they are like approved for about 100 or 110, 115, somewhere in there. And so the state auditor's office right now is understaffed. And so the 3,500 or so local units of government, think school districts, some counties, cities, townships, the support that they get from the state auditor's office, not just audits, are important. And we need to make sure that they're getting that guidance, that data in a timely way, so they can make the best decisions for their own communities. And if the auditor's office is understaffed like it is, that's going to be harder for them to get those needed things so they can make better decisions.
So I can understand, you used to be a city council member in Duluth. I can understand why you did that, why you would run for that. What could possibly motivate someone, the issues that could motivate someone to make their community better, to run for city council. But I don't understand why you would want to be anyone. I don't understand why anyone would want to be state auditor at all. Why would anyone run for that? It's not fun.
No. Oh, it could be fun. You have to find the fun within the work, right? No, the state auditor's office is super important. I'm running because I've seen the community impacts the impacts that communities can have when local government works, right, and works well. And the state auditor's office actually has a pretty big influence in making sure that happens. And quite frankly, right now, local units of government are under attack. There's less funding. We were just held hostage up here in St. Louis County by our own congressperson, Pete Stauber, saying, hey, if you do have project labor agreements on your road projects, we're going to withhold federal funding from you. That's a real consequence that local communities are facing right now here in Minnesota and maybe across the country. I hope not, because those resources are critical for local governments, and I want to help them out. I've seen what can be done when local communities have that support. I've used some of the reports that the state auditor's office puts out. I've sat across the table when I was the finance chair here in Duluth for 3 years, across from the state auditors as they did their job, making sure that our financials were spick and span, and knowing that our local tax dollars are going to the right spots.
Okay, I still don't understand why anyone would run for this race. Not to single you out. I've asked this question of everyone, and I don't know why anyone would want to do it. You know, you could do anything.
Well,
you could do anything to make your community or state better. Why the state auditor's office?
Well, because, I mean, it's, I ran for city council in Duluth, right? Because we wanted to make our city better, because everyone deserves to make a good life, at least here in Duluth and across the state. And I mean, the state auditor's office, you get to help communities do that all across the state. Who wouldn't want to have maybe that opportunity, and to help local governments and to help them solve their accounting puzzles? And to me, I think that's a great way to use my experience, my skill set, to make sure that we're able to trust our local tax dollars are being spent the way that they were meant to be spent. We can talk about the accountant shortage. There's a pressure right now there's a lack of accountants right now. I was looking at some Department of Economic or Employment and Economic Development data from the state. There's, I think in 2 years, it's predicted that there'll be 4,700 vacant accounting jobs in the state of Minnesota. In 10 years, that's going to go to 27,000. This is an issue that we all need to be starting to think about. I know I've been talking about it on the campaign trail, and I hope other state auditor candidates start to think about it, because it's going to have a drastic impact, not only on the office itself, but also on every local community across the state. Who's going to do that boots on the ground work? Yeah.
We talked a little bit about you as a younger person, but let's talk about your time on the city council. Why, can you remember what prompted you to run for city council? Was it a particular issue that you were advocating for locally? Like, I can think of all the reasons I care about, local politics in Minneapolis, but like what motivated you to run for city council in Duluth?
Yeah, boy, I have to think back now. No, it really was talking about, hey, our parks are, we have some bad potholes in Duluth, and sadly that really hasn't changed that much. But we did reallocate how they're funded, and which I think is a better way, a more efficient way to fund those things, and not have a big debt service payment to repair our roads. But actually, it was really funny, because there was a councilor who was running for re-election, and I was going to be his treasurer. And about 2 months into the campaign, we kind of did a soft launch. He got a new job, and oh shoot, I can't run anymore because of this new job that I got. And so in the city of Duluth, the at-large races, you get to vote for 2 people, because 2 people are elected each year. And so I'm looking around, I'm like, all right, I was president of College Dems for 3 years. I've led lobby teams as a college student down to the state capitol. I'm secure in my job. I went and talked with as many people as I could. I was on the board, the SD at that time, SD7 board of directors, and so I talked with as many people as I could about, hey, what do you think? The chances are of me running. Would you support me? And because I want to do what I can, maybe bring that younger voice into politics up here in Duluth. And every light was green, and only later did I find out that they thought that I was going to lose. And they wanted me to get some experience, because there is a very, very good candidate who was running for the other seat in Barb Russ, who I got to serve with for nearly 8 years. And the other person who was running was Ryan Stauber. And Ryan is a relative of Pete Stauber and the son of Jim Stauber, who was on the city council for about 12 years. So everyone thought that I was going to be crushed in that race. And we knocked on a lot of doors. We talked about what matters to everyday people, their parks, the fire department, making sure that, hey, can we get some of these potholes filled? And we won by the biggest vote margin that year, actually. So it's been a wild ride. And when I was on council, my gosh, such a fulfilling experience, from neighborhood cleanups to reducing the city's carbon emissions by 15% with a steam conversion project for our district heating system in downtown, to looking at all the different kind of parks projects that we've had over the years. It's been really, really fun and really rewarding. And I want to help other communities do that if I'm elected to be state auditor.
So are there any big changes you'd want to make? Is there does a candidate for state auditor have a platform? Are there big things you can say, like, this has got to change, this is what we're going to do differently? Or is it just like a stay the course? I think the current DFL occupant of the office has done well, and I'm going to continue the good governance. Like, what is it?
Certainly there are good things that I want to continue to do. I think Julie Blah has done a good job there, especially like elevating, trying to talk about what the office actually does. One thing I want to do with this office is get out into communities, local communities, and host some roundtables. Maybe partner with a counselor or the finance person of the school board, and bring in community members and answer questions like, hey, this is how your local taxes work. This is how your local decisions get made. And here's how the state auditor's office fits into that. We talked about the accounting shortage. That's something that we really need to tackle, and make sure that local communities are prepared for that. I'm thinking, let's talk about joint powers agreements, and let's make sure that the auditor's staff is there, so when folks call on the phone looking for that technical assistance, that they're able to get a swift answer. Those nuts and bolts things might sound a little boring to folks, but remember, I'm the guy with suspenders and wear a tie every day, and so to me, these issues are super, super important to make sure that we're able to live our daily lives. And make sure that local government continues to run and function in the way that we need it to. What
is the accountant shortage about? Is it that it's not paying enough to motivate people to go into this job? Why is there such a shortage?
Well, there's such a shortage because, just like a lot of different occupations, 75% of CPAs will be retiring the next 5 to 7 years, or will have the option to retire. Minnesota trends older than the rest of the country, and so we're going to see that effect. And it's not just accountants. This is something that is happening, I think, in a lot of different professions. But I think accountants are maybe seen as that less exciting profession that maybe people don't think about as often now. I talk about in my stump speech, I talk about my dad sitting me up on his knee and showing me his kind of checkbook and how to do that. He was a small business owner and showing me his green line paper. He had a 2-year accounting degree from the VOTech up here in Duluth. Now it's called Lake Superior College. But we don't see those 2-year degrees anymore. And it's all the 4-year degrees and things like that. I think that's an important piece that we need to remember too, that maybe you got a 2-year degree and you went on later to get your 4-year accounting degree, and maybe got your CPA sometime after that. But these in the immediate term, we're going to have to pay more because the turnover rate in the auditor's office is due to primarily private accounting firms saying, hey, we need accountants. We know that this shortage is coming. We're gonna pay our folks more and come on over. And so I think we do need to pay those staff competitive wages, competitive compensation packages. And then in the long term, we need to help inspire the next generation of accountants. You don't have to wear suspenders to do that, but you can wear what you want, especially in this day of being able to work wherever you want.
That is a good tagline for a candidate, is inspiring the next generation of accountants, I think.
We'll use it more. That's great. Yeah.
So you have highlighted, I watched the thing you did on Care 11, the interview you did, and you highlight, I think you must have said this like 10 times, that you're the only accountant in the race. What about management experience? Because it's a thing where you've got 85, 90 employees. Like, There's a couple of mayors running in this race. And so what about management experience?
Yeah, there's a lot of good people running in this race. But for myself, I think it's important to know what the boots on the ground folks are doing day in and day out. So when they come and ask like, hey, Zach, I need this to do my job better, they won't have to translate what that means or why they need it. I'm the only person who's actually worked in an accounting firm out of all these candidates. And, Arnie Carlson said the accountant or the state auditor's office is basically one big accounting firm helping local units of government. And so knowing what those boots on the ground folks are doing, knowing what they're talking with local governments about. Remember, I've sat on both sides of that audit table. And when I was actually a government employee, I was an AFSCME Local 66 member up here in Duluth working at our local wastewater treatment plant. I did some kind of internal audit work as well. And so I know what that looks like. I know what governmental auditing standards are, or GAS for short. And so knowing what the boots on the ground folks are doing day in and day out is going to be critically important. After I was done with City Council, 12 days after my term ended, I started my MBA program. And so that was with a focus in strategic management. And so knowing organizationally how to structure things is important. Same thing goes with my CMA, or Certified Management Accounting credential. That focuses on how money and finances and accounting runs through a business or through an organization. And so the auditor's office has a staff. They have a huge budget of, I think, about $30 or so $million. We need to be able to manage that and know how those systems work. And right now I manage, albeit a smaller team, but I manage a team of people in my day job right now. And so that leadership experience is I think, critical. I went through about a year or so of executive coaching as well to help problem solve problems or issues in real time.
So you hit on this a little bit earlier, but does the auditor's office need to increase their staffing level? They're understaffed?
Yeah, the auditor's office is understaffed. And I know this for a fact because reports are coming out and being published online, and they're, they're a bit dated, right? So like if we're going to have updated information about our local units of government, we need to make sure that those reports are getting out there faster. There are communities that are waiting on audits because, that turnover rate, there's disruptions in that process. So we can make that more efficient and actually save time, both not only on the state auditor side, but that local unit of government side as well, and save some staff time there if we're able to have more people and less turnover.
Do you think smaller cities, this is an idea that another candidate has in their platform, do smaller cities need to be subsidized to cover the costs of being audited? Do you think that is a good idea?
Honestly, for me, I think a better way to do that would be to increase LGA. Then those communities can have more flexibility with that, with those dollars. I mean, I do a lot of grants and grant compliance in my day job right now. And if you're going to fund audits with grants, well, shoot, that's adding another layer of bureaucracy that I'm not sure that we need. And local communities are already overburdened with the grants that they need to get and apply for other projects. And so I would say let's increase LGA. That is something that I have heard across the board. From small towns and cities in rural Minnesota to Duluth to places like Minneapolis and St. Paul as well, because again, our local communities are under attack. They're feeling the increased responsibility with fewer resources. So let's increase LGA.
Okay. And does the auditor's office need to expand their scope beyond the current function auditing these local entities?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can have a good, robust conversation about performance audits. I think that's something that we can look into. But I also think that before we get into something like that, we need to make sure that the office is capable of doing the work that it is mandated to do right now. And I know some candidates, including some of the Republicans, are talking about expanding the scope of the auditor's office to to do statewide programs. We already have an office doing that with the legislative auditor's office. So I'm not here. I don't want to duplicate services. And if we combine those offices, I think that's a bad idea. Local governments are going to be left in the dust. They're not going to get the attention that they deserve or need to do what they need to do. So let's keep the focus of the state auditor's office on local units of government. That's my stance.
Wouldn't there also be a concern if you combined the office, is it legislative auditor? Is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. If you combine that with the state auditor, that it would be more likely to be like weaponized? Because you've got a partisan actor, an elected official running the state auditor's office. Would that lead to weaponization?
It could, right? It very much could. And so, yeah, if you have a legislature that is maybe more democratic, and you have a state auditor who is maybe now a more conservative person or a mega person, and they're looking through state agencies, well, shoot. Yeah, there's a very, very real potential for an abuse there. And, we have to remember, too, Julie Blaha, as the incumbent state auditor candidate 4 years ago on the DFL, she only won this race with 0.4%, less than 8,500 votes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's tough to do when your name is Blaha. That's kind of a funny sounding name on an office where mostly people are voting by the name. It's a huge handicap to have kind of a funny looking name when you're running for an office like this.
Well, think of Filipovich as kind of a funny sounding name too.
No, that's right? A normal name. I have heard that name before. I don't know anyone with the last name Blaha. Do you? Except for her.
That's true. I don't either. And but Filipovich, there's 3 I's in here for everyone who's counting at home.
It's a normal, solid, I've heard that name before kind of name. Nobody's going to be thrown off by what's this Filipovich stuff, I don't think.
Well, I'm glad, John. Thanks for the confidence.
I haven't been really watching what the Republican candidates are doing and talking about. I have heard via these conversations I'm having with DFL candidates, and what I'm hearing is kind of alarming. Like, how worried do you think we need to be about Republican candidates getting elected to the state auditor and weaponizing the state auditor's office?
Yeah, no, I don't think we can take anything for granted, right? Like, we still need to listen to people, to constituents, to voters. We need to be able to fight back and talk about how we're going to help local communities with this office. And, we need to be able to deliver starting day one. You have 3 Republican folks running in this race, one who was running for governor. I think that tells you how serious the Republicans are of wanting to take this position. They haven't held it since before Rebecca Otto's time. So Julie was here for 8, Rebecca was there for 12, so 20 years. And that might seem like a long time, and that might seem like, oh, we have this. But again, it was a close race 4 years ago with an incumbent. And now, I think they're going to be weaponizing and trying to misconstrue the fraud that we've been seeing and catching, this legislative auditor has been catching to try to win this election. And we see how serious they are with Scott Jensen now coming into that race with a lot of money and some name recognition as well. So I think this is a race that we need to be prepared to fight for.
Well, the anti-vax doctor, Scott Jensen?
That's the same one, yep.
He's running for state auditor? This is how closely I'm paying attention. This is the kind of podcast you're on?
He's coming out of the litter box, and he is running for Minnesota State Auditor, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's good that I don't concern myself. As far as I'm concerned, the Minnesota GOP doesn't exist in my little corner of Minneapolis. I don't have to pay attention to this stuff.
Yeah, but us candidates, we do, right? And so, because we're running to win, and we need to make sure that we have a team in place, which Team Zack we do, that we have a statewide presence over the last, again, like 13 weeks or 14 weeks. We have had a presence at nearly every single convention across this state. We've had phone bankers calling delegates, and that's going to continue all throughout into November. Should we get the DFL endorsement? And that's why we're working so hard, because we have the best chance to keep this seat in DFL hands. Not only because, I think having the accounting credential and the background to do this job is a plus, but also, I think there's an electability argument there with being the only accountant. If you have 10 seconds to say Zack Filipovich, he's the only accountant in this race, well, shoot. If that's all a person hears, that's a pretty good message. And that's why I said that 10 or 11 times at the Carol Levitt interview, John.
You got to be repetitive in politics. It's no criticism. Is there anything else we need to talk about? Have we not gotten to something that is important?
I think we just need to be real about what the state auditor's office can do in this moment, and being able to help advocate and be a voice in collecting that data that local communities are having, and being able to share some of those stories and say, hey, local cities, counties, school districts, they need help, right? And presenting that in a no-nonsense way, so that people know what is going on in their local communities, knowing how those decisions are made, and how the state auditor's office ensures that your everyday lives are running thanks to local governments, thanks to the state auditor's office.
So how is it seeking the DFL endorsement? Are you just constantly calling delegates all the time? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm calling delegates. We've had so many great people volunteer, and they're helping to call folks as well. Team Zack, we have actually hosted a number of round tables over the past couple of weeks now, and those have been fantastic. Some really good conversations and questions have happened there. And it's not just me reaching out to folks. You can actually schedule a time by going to zackformn.com, and you can schedule a time to talk with me, about 15 or so minutes. And so, if I call you and you're not available, well, shoot, you schedule a time back and let's have a conversation.
I hate that. I hate people calling my phone. Nobody ever call me. I don't want to talk ever. Don't even
Sorry,
text me.
John. I'll still call you.
I'm not a delegate.
Well, then we'll wait till after June. But
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is there likely to be an endorsement? Is for candidates, right? Does it seem likely there won't be an endorsement?
Well, we just talked about the electability factor and how important this race is for local communities, and how hard Republicans are going for it. I think we have to have an endorsement at the end of this process. I think we need to. We should not be wasting our energy fighting in some sort of primary. We need to come out with a united front for this race, because it is so important, and the stakes are high, right? The auditor's office oversees $60 billion of local government spending across the state, and we can't leave that up to chance. We need to work as hard as we can to make sure that this seat remains in DFL hands. And, let's make sure that we have that unified front coming out of the convention.
So do you think it's likely that auditor candidates will go in with the mindset, well, if it's not working out for me and it doesn't look like I'm doing very well today, that I should throw my support behind the candidate with more support? Do you think candidates will dig in and say, no, I don't want there to be an endorsement?
I mean, for me, my motivation is let's do what's right for Minnesota. In this particular race, let's do what's right for our local communities. And so I hope everyone does have that same mentality.
It's interesting. Thank you for playing political analyst for me. Well, we're at the end. It's the third edition of the Wedge Live podcast, conversations with DFL candidates for Minnesota State Auditor. Thank you for joining me, Zack Filipovich.
Thank you, John. This has been so much fun. Thank you.
This has been the Wedge Live podcast. I'm your host, John Edwards. Thank you for listening.
This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
this neighborhood right now, 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 right now.